diamonds in the rough. NFL Draft Diamonds. Time to shine.
Hi, my name is Jimmy Williams with NFL Draft Diamonds, and we are presented by the Hula Bowl. Today I have with me one of the best wide receivers at the D3 level. His name is Ryan Wisniewski of Wisconsin Whitewater, a wide receiver. How you doing, man?
Doing good. How you doing, Jimmy?
Doing very well, man. I mean, I think a lot of people these days, at least by now, should know who UW Whitewater is. Based off of like another guy who's very successful this past season, playing for the Broncos.
Yeah.
I think having that sort of person really explode. I mean, gives guys like yourself the opportunity to really come show your talent, really what you could bring to the next level. So let's get a chance to meet you. Give me a little bit of your background if you don't mind. Tell me where you're from and just kind of how you got to your school.
So I'm from Wisconsin. Grew up in a small town, Sparta, Wisconsin. Grew up with one brother, and growing up is just sports. Doing a little bit of this, playing some soccer growing up, playing a little baseball. Get to high school, and then it's football. Focused on football hard. Wrestling, a little bit of basketball, and then we got some track and field in there. So growing up, there's a lot of sports.
So yeah, a lot of sports. I get it. You were an option quarterback in high school, right? So like, how does that work into what you're doing these days? Do you ever try and work in some sort of trick play where you got the ball in your hand, like ready to throw?
Oh yeah, so since sophomore year, I actually ended up playing quarterback here freshman year. And then so they got to see some of the stuff I was able to do with the triple option, get out, get loose a little bit. So now we got a package called Wild Wiz. Wiz is just a nickname that kind of obtained through the years. And get the little Wild Wiz action, get out the backfield and try to steal some yards back there, have a little fun.
Wild Wiz. I think that just sounds so funny. I love it. But like you said, Wisconsin kid. Uh, Coming out, I mean, obviously, I mean, I don't know if it really helped or hurt you, like with you being an option quarterback, but I mean, how do you feel? Where were you, like recruiting wise? Was it always going to be Whitewater, or did you have any other prospects like back in those days?
So there's a few other. I actually ended up getting a couple scholarship offers. I had nothing crazy at Concordia St. Paul D2 school. They offered me as an athlete. They weren't sure if they wanted me as more of a roll down safety, go lay the wood, or if they wanted me out receiver. That it's kind of to figure out. And then Southwest Minnesota State, also D2 Minnesota. But I got recruited as an athlete, more of a receiver there. But then coming to Whitewater, you get talking to them, and they wanted me as a receiver, and that's coming out of high school. Quarterback, he scores a couple touchdowns. You don't want to go away from it. So receiver is where I had my mind at, and was where I thought I would be the best. So, and then you see the facilities at Whitewater, and it was an easy decision from there.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, if people don't know, I mean, you're a big dude. I mean, you're 6'4", 210 pounds. I mean, just kind of one hell of a target in the passing game. I mean, when we look at you as a prospect, potentially going to the next level, what do you feel like separates you as an athlete? What do you feel like the best thing you bring to the table?
I think my ability, being 6'4", and being able to catch balls outside my frame, I think that's the number one thing that's going to separate me, because there's a lot of guys who are fast. I would think I'm up there with some of the fast guys, but my ability to catch balls within my radius. There's a lot of people who the ball is 6'4", ball's all the way at your feet. You got to not catch it or go all the way down. I'm going to do my best, and I'll probably make the catch and get 4, 5, 10, 15 yards after the catch. So my ability to just catch everything within my radius.
Sure. I mean, and like again, I mean, I hate to dwell on it so much, but I mean, your size really separates you, in my opinion. I mean, but just kind of looking at some of your success since you've been there. I mean, first team all conference guy. I mean, really doing some excellent things. I mean, I know you guys are always in the running for like a national championship, really. But let's kind of look at you a little bit further. You're also a team captain. So talk to me about you as a team captain and a leader of your program there.
So me as a team captain, I'm not going to be one of the most vocal guys out there. I'm going to be vocal enough when things aren't going correctly, if things aren't being done the right way. I'm going to make sure everybody's on the same page. Just communication for me is number one, because if you don't communicate within each other, things aren't going to end up right on the field. And I'm a big do things right, do it 100%, and set a good role model for the guys under me, for the guys who look up to me, even for the guys who are other senior leaders who may not be captains. It's setting a good standard for people to follow.
Sure. So I mean, you got a lot of people like looking up to you, setting an example for some people there. Who there at UW Whitewater do we need to know that's like up and coming there? I mean, it just seems like, I mean, if you guys are churning out good talent, like who's the next, big thing there? I guess.
I'm gonna talk offense because that's what I know best here.
Sure.
We got a slot receiver who's coming up. He's been playing really well. He takes every target and he makes the most of it. His name's Tyler Holte. He's gonna be up next year. It's gonna be his year. And we have a backup quarterback. He transferred from lacrosse. Actually, he was looking to go to Maryland. Tua's little brother transferred there. He said probably not the best decision for me. Ended up transferring here, and he's got a cannon. His name's Evan Lewandowski. He was up for one of the quarterbacks of the year last year, and he's figuring out the program. He's got one more year left of eligibility, and he's going to sling it next year for sure.
Nice. I mean, obviously a lot of great talent there. I mean, you guys are able to really do some great things there. One thing that was kind of unfortunate, obviously, for a lot of small schoolers is when 2020, with 2020 and the pandemic, COVID hits, everything gets shut down. You guys didn't really play in the fall.
Yeah.
Just kind of walk through that with me. Like, how did that hit you? If it hit you like personally, or like, if maybe perhaps like, what did you do during that time and how did you stay motivated?
For me, it's hard not to stay motivated when you got the guys around you that you do, because regardless of whether we were having a season or not, we knew we were gonna get next season. So it's just making the most out of the opportunity, because it sounds opportunity is not really what you think of when you hear COVID, season's gone, but there's so much time there to get better at the stuff you're not already good at, get better at it. So for me, it was just taking the most of the opportunity, because the weight rooms were all closed down. Ended up building the weight room in my house at the time. Had the full squat rack, had up to 350 pounds, was doing all the workouts, getting with the quarterbacks, and just getting better every single day. And as far as we were practicing the whole time, so it's hard with these guys because it's not just practice, it's a competition. It's who's gonna win each and every single rep. And that was the thing. I remember the first week of practice, I was diving everywhere. I had to tone it back a little bit. I forgot every practice wasn't a game. So, and that was the thing, just getting after it every single day, because you have guys who are out there challenging you, and if they beat you, they're gonna let you hear about it. So and that's just one of those things, just keeping it competitive every single day.
No doubt. So Ryan, walk us through like your like a typical week. I mean, obviously you got to do like you said. I mean, do what you got to do in the weight room. I mean, obviously now we're back into the facilities there at UW Whitewater. You're not restricted to just 350 pounds. But tell me a little bit about your weekly preparation, whether it be in the film room, the weight room. Like, how does that work with you, just kind of in general?
So Monday's the big lifting day. Get in the weight room. Don't have practice for us, and it's film. Lift and film. We go over everything from Saturday's game and just correct it. It's not we make sure it's not a celebration of the week before. It's not we're gonna tarnish you if you had the worst game ever. It's all about making the corrections. And then Tuesday, it's focusing on making the corrections and then focusing on the next week's competitor. And that's one thing my coach does. Coach McGlynn, he was a DB's coach at Minnesota Luth, a great tradition up there. He was a All-American at Whitewater, and he does such a great job of breaking the defense down and breaking DBs down because he's a DB for a long time. So just really getting in the mind of a DB is how he really helps this receiver group this year. So and that's just seeing the different techniques, and I'll start yelling at the scout team DBs, not yelling at them, but they know me. So it's all right. You got to do it this way this week, just a little bit, and then sometimes it's these guys are gonna hold you. So Coach McGlynn, telling the DBs, all right, free range of you guys get to hold at will. So it's every week focusing on the scheme that we're gonna get, what plays are gonna work, how to run different routes on different DBs because they're gonna play it a different way. So that's the big thing for me is just focusing on all the little stuff the defense is gonna give us.
Right. And again, just kind of want to backtrack a bit. What's your mentality when you actually hit in the weight room? What are you trying to accomplish there?
For me, it's always during the season. It's not always a grind where you got to get after the weight room. It's get through the stuff, progress to the weight room because it's not just because when you lift, you break your muscles down, then you get to practice and you're breaking them down even more, higher chance for injury. So it's the talking with the strength coaches, talking with athletic trainer about what is going to be the best. Should I be adding weight? Should I be taking weight off depending on how I'm feeling from week to week? So I never have a hard time getting after it, but sometimes it's hard to hold it back a little bit.
No, I hear you. You have any personal bests in the weight room you want to drop? I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, but
So I'm not a huge squatter. I'll throw up 400 in that for a max. Not a huge bencher. I'm a long guy, so got a lot of range to work. But the thing
right,
that I
exactly.
always surprise people with is my power cleans. It's because that's where for me has been the biggest focus is explosiveness. And I'll throw up 275 is I think probably my max for that. But it's fun this summer just competing with a lot of the guys. You get some short, stockier guys trying to. How are you doing that? It's like it's all explosion. That's what I got.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, like, I mean, you're kind of, working with these long arms, and
Yeah,
you have all this height over all these guys that are maybe 6'1",
right.
300-pound guys. You're like, and they might be taunting you a little bit, but it's like, hey, man, like I got like a few more inches to work with here, man. You got to cut me some slack.
It's a
Um,
fun. I got you.
but no, I get you. I mean, obviously, you got to get what you can, and really, again, like you said, I mean, listen to your trainers so that hopefully you're doing what you're supposed to be doing there. Um, and I think a lot of that explosion and stuff, we chatted about it from the get go. Playing a whole lot of different sports growing up, all conference wrestler, basketball, track and field. I mean, I feel like a lot of those things really help translate to the football field. Anything else you want to add with regards to like your background in other sports?
Uh, no, but I'm glad. I just want to thank my parents for making me do all that different stuff because you see a lot of these guys get into one mode and it's just football, just basketball. All the skills that I have are from the multiple different sports I played. So every different sport that I played has helped in some sort of way to make me the athlete I am today. So I'm grateful. I grew up doing all the different things. I was never set on one just sport. I wanted to be the best at all of them.
Great. And obviously there at Whitewater, you've been really one of the better teams like in your guys's, division in the country. Tell me about maybe some of your best moments there. What do you think has like been one of your biggest highlights there as a football player of UW Whitewater?
Biggest highlight, biggest highlight was making to the Stag Bowl. It's our national championship, and I actually got in Sports Center for a play. It was like top two, top three. I think that was pretty unique, and that's something everybody Division One to Division Three can say they got on Sports Center. But just the ability to play in the national championship it's one in 300. I don't even know how many teams there are in D3, but it's up there. And to be one of the teams that's semifinals, and then the next year back to the national championship, just the whole the whole process. Every week's a different challenge.
Right. And where are you guys at this year? How's your season been going?
So we are 7-0. Just got off a tough win. River Falls played us tough, so they sent some stuff at us. And that's the thing. You see a team and you see what they've been doing all year, and then they play us, and you're gonna get something completely different. This team we played last week blitzed 20% of the time the rest of the season, and then we played them and they blitzed 80% of the time.
Mm.
And then their offense is doing trick plays. They're doing onside kicks when they don't typically need to. So it's the challenge of not always knowing what you're gonna get.
Great. So I guess the only thing we can expect from you guys is once again being in that national title picture. I mean, you're
Absolutely.
you're undefeated right now, so I mean that's kind of what we're expecting. Now I mean being able to lift that trophy, I guess, is kind of like your next benchmark, right?
Absolutely. We try not to talk about it too much. We try to think about the 1-0 every week, going 1-0. But all the guys who play in that 2019 national championship have that chip on their shoulder, that sour taste in their mouth to get back and then be the team who's on top at the end there.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, who was it back then? Was it I'm trying to remember. Was it North Central? Is that who
Yeah,
it was?
with North
So I
Central.
mean, and they were a very good team, but I mean, you guys were a very good team in your own right, and you have consistently been in that discussion. So a lot of things to look forward to this season for you guys, for sure. So
Absolutely.
I do want to get a chance to learn who Ryan Wisniewski is outside of a football player. So tell me a little bit of something about yourself that's interesting, unique, fun, hobbies, interests, anything about yourself, whether it be you as a student or like just kind of you outside like hanging with your family and friends.
No, I'm a pretty goofy dude. I'm definitely goofy once you get to know me. I'm a pretty reserved guy. I don't need to be out there all the time, but not once you get to know me, I'm a goofy dude. Like to be outside doing stuff, even just watching some movies, throwing on some comedy movies. Love a good laugh.
Gotcha. So what's your favorite like comedy? You got a go-to comedy movie that you like?
I love Anchorman. Ron Burgundy, he kills me. That whole both those movies are there's just so many good actors. The comedy is just it's killer.
I thought you were gonna go with like Step Brothers or something like
That's the easy one. That's the
Yeah,
easy.
that is the easy one, but I mean, come on, man, you gotta love that one.
Oh, absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
what about? I was trying to think. Tell me something about your hometown. I mean, obviously it's a small place, but I mean, if I were to visit, your hometown, like what would we have to do?
There's not a whole lot to do there. It's a pretty small town. For me, growing up, it was always my stepdad's in the military, and we live right next to a military base. So it was always going to the rec center, playing pickup basketball, lifting weights, going in the pool, just finding stuff to do because it's a big military community. So there's always kids from my high school there, always somebody to do something with. But it's a pretty small town, right next to the cross area. So it's nice to go over there. They got the bluffs, can go hiking. So there's stuff to do around, but it's a pretty small populated area.
Gotcha. And hypothetically, if there was no football, what would you aspire to be? Like, what sort of career path might you choose?
Growing up, I've always been super interested in nutrition, just because what it can do. Because when you see these big guys, I mean, when you think Ben Barch a few years ago, what he had to do to gain weight, he was putting Gatorade. He was waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, putting Gatorade, eggs, bananas, oatmeal, all this different stuff to gain weight. And it's just some of the stuff and it's all sorts of different people that you get people who like him who have to put down 6,000 calories a day versus people who can eat the normal daily intake and still gain that weight. It's super super interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff that Barch talked about completely grossed me out. So
It was,
I mean,
I don't think I could have done that. It looked disgusting, but he
yeah.
did. He had that
Well,
interviewer try. It wasn't too bad, so I'll take her word for it. But
yeah, it's not my cup of tea, but
uh,
obviously nutrition is very important. So I definitely think that's kind of neat. So as we wind this interview down, Ryan, I want you to kind of give me your why, meaning like why do you do what you do? Why do you actually play this game, and just kind of your overall motivation?
Um, my overall motivation, I think, is the people around me, because I'm a dedicated person. I love football, but then you see the next person next to you and the person next to them, day in day out grinding is to put it all out there. It's and just the family that we've built, and it's so different because you go from high school, you build up a family, and then you get to college, and then you don't know anybody, but then you become part of a tradition, you become part of the family, and you see all these different people working hard, the standards that have been set over the last 10, 20 years. It's hard not to want to grind it out, keep pushing, because at the end of the day, you're having a lot of fun doing it.
Gotcha. And very lastly, I want you to give your pitch to all these professional teams out there. Tell them why they need to, know your name, give you an opportunity, allow you to come into their franchise. What kind of teammate would you be?
I'm the type of teammate that is gonna make everybody better, whether it's doing small things, trying to help critique, but it's not being a problem. I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna be out there giving it 100% every single rep, practice. Doesn't matter. Practice game. I'm gonna be giving 110% because that's just the type of person I am. I'm not gonna be out there just willy nilly to 50%. This rep, 110% the next rep. There's no plays off. So you're gonna get everything I got every play.
Awesome. Well, I mean, Ryan, I feel like you have a lot going for you. I mean, kind of really being in the position where you're at, where a lot of people have their eyeballs on Whitewater now. And so everybody knows what you guys have going on. And of course, they look at you and they say, wow, this is a big target as a wide receiver, a guy that I can count on, like in the red zone and everything. So definitely the type of player that opens eyes of scouts. So I mean, I do hope that you get your opportunity at the next level. But best of luck to you this upcoming season. Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the talk.
All right. Again, I have with me Ryan Wisniewski. He's from UW Whitewater, wide receiver there. Thanks again, bud.
Thank you.